Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to this session, which is Unleashing the Power of Data and AI, Technip Energies' journey to becoming a data-driven organization. Today, we have Mary Gepel, VP of Digital Transformation at Technip Energies, a leading global engineering and technology company for energy transition. She will share her insights into their journey towards building a data-driven organization. Towards the end of the presentation, Marie will be joined by Kash Mehdi, VP of Growth at DataGalaxy, for a live Q&A session where they will provide tips for aspiring companies and CDOs that seek to enhance their effectiveness in their roles. So with that said, I'll hand it over to you, Marie.
Okay, thank you, Chandana, for introducing me. I'm Mary Gepel. I'm a Vice President for Digital Transformation at Technip Energies. And just a few words on the company so you better understand. We are a global engineering and technology company that focuses on sustainable solutions for the energy transition, meaning that we build energy plans for our customers, mastering all the phases from engineering, procurement, construction, quality, and so on. And also technologies like liquefied natural gas, ethylene, hydrogen, or carbon capture. We operate in 34 countries, and we count more than 15,000 employees, mostly engineers, and my role as VP Digital Transformation is really driving the company to better use digital technologies for improving our efficiency, productivity, and sustainability. That said, our digital transformation lies on 4 pillars. First one is how we drive new revenues from digital services or software. Second one is how we improve our operational efficiency by automating our processes. Third one, the one that interests us today, is how we leverage data and AI to make better decisions. And finally, how we train our people to become more digital-oriented. And now the challenge. How we create value from all the siloed data that we have in our legacy system. So I like to represent our journey like a 4-stage rocket. And it's first propelled by the people. And what we are doing on that, we have many different initiatives around awareness and training. One significant one is we have launched a data science upskilling program last year. So it was open to the whole company. And our engineers coming from the different disciplines, they volunteered to attend this program. It was a really intense program during 1 year, like 10 years per week on top of the job, actually. So they really had to be greatly motivated. And there were 20 to graduate, and we are now recruiting the next cohort. The great thing is that it helps us create a pool of talents with a dual competency, meaning they have their business skills, their original business skills, and now they have data science, meaning that they're also becoming actually data and digital champion in their own discipline. So this is quite powerful. Another thing that we have worked on is data manifesto. It's been a collective work within the company, meaning that we wanted to define the principles that will guide us as a company from a data point of view. So it's been very important in terms of awareness, and we are currently working on a serious game for all employees based on this data manifesto. Many good practice in the data manifesto around data governance, which is the second stage of the rocket. So data governance, I think you're probably already convinced, it's something really very structuring and fundamental for any data transformation. It's like, I often say it's like the accounting or the library of data, but something really where we standardize, where we define data, and we make people accountable actually to provide to the other data of quality. And for that, we have defined 14 data domains. Each data domain has a data domain owner working with the data stewards, and they are all working within their data domain on defining the main data objects, working on data quality, helping also accessibility to the data. And we also have cross initiatives, and that is very powerful also as a company, meaning, for example, on a project ID, it's something that we've been working on for months, having the same project ID, because usually it was different between the different systems. And now trying to standardize this project ID for the whole company, it's a lot of work with a lot of people, but it is very structuring and quite powerful in the end to automate processes. Something very structuring also in our data journey is the data catalog. So we have chosen DataGalaxy for many reasons. One is that it's really easy for the business people actually to access it and use it and find. They just search like in Google and they can find information about data. And we decided to open the data catalog to all the company, meaning all the 15,000 people may have access to the data catalog. So they can't access the data directly, but they can see also the rights to access to the data. We are providing a lot of information also on GDPR, for example, on data quality levels and so on. This is, in our data journey, this is really something fundamental for us. Third pillar is the technology. So to have a look at our data platform and AI canvas, I would say. Our data platform is mainly based on Azure Cloud. We get information on what's in the data platform through DataGalaxy, again, our data catalog. We use Orchestra as a MDM tool. And we can I would say exploit data through Power BI for business intelligence or data visualization use. Also using low coding tool like OutSystems or UiPath for RPA. We have selected DataIQ as an AI low-code platform also, and this is where our data scientists can also work on the same model, reuse the model that have been produced by other teams. So this is also very important for us in our data science community animation through DataIQ. And we use Sinequa as document search and indexing platform. And something that we are now working on, this is a small teasing, is using Sinequa both with OpenAI, because we had asked Microsoft to open for us OpenAI on Azure. So this is the private ChatGPT actually that we can have in-house, meaning that the information stays in our platform and is not used to train the public model. And actually coupling it with Sinequa allows us to have the sources of the documents. So we can, this is now just exploration, but for tendering, for example, use past tenders through Sinequa and being able to use generative AI to get past data and have all the data sources and being able to check the original documents where it's come from. That's on our technology. And yeah, what's powerful is that this data platform is accessible because it's mainly based on cloud, accessible to all our data scientists within the company worldwide. And finally, how do we create value with all this? We have conducted a collaborative work last summer around, it was very focused on data, and we are now conducting quite the same, but more based on AI, due to the also generative AI buzz that came, the tsunami, I would say, that came along. And so we focus the effort on the new services that we want to offer to customers, the operational efficiency, what we can improve in our current processes through data and AI, and sustainability, how data and AI can contribute to our sustainability objectives. And we have defined many potential use cases and launched the first on P0 and P1, and we have defined a methodology for measuring, estimating ROIs and potential impact on EBIT. And this is something that we got validated by finance so that they can help us track this value on time. And the first estimated gains that we estimated was more than 21 million euros, which was enough to convince to have a go. How it's working, we have a value process that we have defined together with business and IT. So it's working on an agile way, and the idea is really learn and fail fast, actually, with gates along the way. So from ideation until run, business is the pilot here. So Mario Kart driver, meaning that they're still piloting. They own the business case. It's not us at a digital or data office. We are here to boost, help them really provide methodology, templates, or talents, also to help them test, explore their ideas. And IT is here from the scale till run phases to sustain and industrialize the use cases. And finally, and this is my last slide, I think I've been very fast in my presentation. I will just discuss I will present you two concrete use cases we are working on. So one is the cost freight optimization for a huge project in Qatar that we have now. We developed an algorithm that helps us optimize the trajectory and loading of the vessels that are bringing the material on sites. And we've been able to estimate very significant ROIs, and also we are now trying to measure the CO2 reduction that we can achieve with this better optimization of freight. And another use case is one that we are working on with procurement. Procurement is a huge activity for us. It's like a $3 billion budget per year. And we are working both on historic data and also trends from market data, and try to predict the tendency so that it will help procurement teams to better negotiate future prices, and also better estimate and run their strategy, decide on their strategies for procurement. And that's it for me. Now,
we
ready to answer questions.
Minutes, remaining with some of the goods.
Very nice slides. Thank you. My question's about data quality. I know it's not a data quality presentation, but metadata, data quality, all foundational to those things. Do you guys have current data quality issues? And if so, how are you guys going about remediating those with the help of metadata?
Okay, very good question. Of course, we have data quality issues everywhere, and actually, we have defined a methodology, and it's not rocket science. It's like assess the data quality, choose the right data quality parameters you want to assess first. You don't need to assess everything each time. And then identify the root cause. And usually it's not technology. Most of the time it's human. So then you need to work on with the business to correct the processes. One thing that has been very powerful those days is the new CSRD regulation around ESG reporting. So now extra financials data should be at the same levels of quality as financial data for reporting. So this is, I would say, a game changer in terms of data quality. It's a huge thing, and actually the different data domains that we have defined, it's really helpful because we can work with the data domain owners on identifying for each KPI for CSRD, and there are really many of them, identify what are the issues and correct them, prioritize. There's no choice for that, but this compliance constraint, actually it's very helpful for us because it has bring data quality as an XCOM issue, so it's helpful to better correct data.
You said CSRD?
CSRD.
So do you guys want to start your Q&A and then we can take more questions from the audience?
I don't know if this mic's working.
Yep.
Hello, testing. Okay, great. Yeah, no, a lot to unpack. By the way, I'm Kash Mehdi. I work as the VP of Growth at DataGalaxy, and very excited to actually hear your story, how you're unleashing data to the entire community within Technip Energies. So one of the things that I've seen, Marie, working with leaders is change management is one of the hardest things. If you go out there and talk to anybody, I think people are going to be telling you literacy is my top priority. I want to make sure people understand what data do we have, how do you use that. So in working with your users driving change management, so what advice would you provide to our leaders and attendees here? Like, I think you built a massive program, but where do you start?
I think, maybe advice that I can share. You have to make it fun at some point because they're overloaded with information. So you have to make it fun at some point. You have to be also opportunistic. It's like with the whole ChatGPT tsunami. I had to explain ChatGPT to the XCOM, and I always spend some time explaining them that for generative AI, we need data. So we still need to work on the foundations, the data foundations that we are working on already. And we have awareness programs. That's one thing, lots of webinars and so on. But also the exercise, the collective exercise around data manifesto, around the data strategy, and now we are doing the same with AI. Each time you do a lot of data literacy at this point. It's really because you have time to discuss and try to have people imagine what data and AI can mean in their own daily job, actually. So, and I think it's always good to share with peers and exchange ideas because that's a real issue, and I'm not sure that there is a perfect answer to that.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot to unpack with what you said. So also, I think one of the other things that I see as a data leader is you have to understand the business. So I think this is where your success is also kind of dependent knowing the culture of the company, how things operate. So did you early on in your initiative, how much time did you really spend in terms of understanding the business, you as a leader, not the entire team, but what investment you personally did to know what are the priorities for my executives, business stakeholders, because I see you looked at 14 different domains. I'm sure it's a Herculean exercise to go to every domain and identify what's really meaningful for them. So what did you do there?
So when I started in the company, like 1.5 years ago, I spent some time meeting the stakeholders. That's one thing. And they explain you, and you go on the website, and this is not enough. What really changed things for me is I've been to Qatar on our the big construction site that we have there. spend time and really put the helmets and everything, and visit the site and talk to the people. And I could see that what the data pain points they had, it's not something that I've heard. We're not the same that corporate told me. It's like you have to go on site and speak to the people. And each time, like, I took the opportunity to come here at the MIT, but I will be visiting our Boston offices on Monday, and then I will go to Houston and visit our offices there. So I really try to always spend time to the people, because I'm not an expert in energy. I'm not even an engineer, I have to confess. and so I need people to explain to me and explain to me what are the pain points and what they feel that could improve our activity as a company. And usually it's really the operational people who have the best ideas.
Wow, you're really going out there in the field and doing wearing the hat and doing the actual work. That's quite impressive. It reminds me of one of the leader I was working with, and he sent his team of data scientists to actually go take phone calls, like attend your customers and become an agent for a day and figure out what the heck is going on here. So reminds me a lot of that. But that's kudos to you. That's hard work of also traveling, meeting with different people, different cultures, and whatnot. So let me ask you this. I'm not trying to put you on the spot here.
No, it's okay.
But how do you measure literacy? Because it's so hard to measure. Like, you have a technology in place. You say, okay, I've made this available for my entire organization. But if somebody is asking you, hey, Marie, because these are the questions leaders get, like, what is the ROI? Can you show me a dollar value? What are you getting here? So how do you measure this at Technip?
Literacy, we have, I would say, like KPIs on the number of users of data catalog, number of views, number of data defined in the data catalog. We also have the number of people that will attend the awareness program, the number of people attending the webinars program, and so on. So that's, I would say, for the quantitative part.
Yep.
And the real qualitative part is when some people now are telling me that they had an issue, and then they asked during a meeting where I was not there, and no one from digital or data was there, asking, but who's the data owner of this? And that's where you see the change, little by little. So this is very qualitative, but little by little you can see the change on specific things, or people who think that now they have an ID. I think the number of ID that are coming up also, it's a good way to see how I would say the data maturity is improving overall.
I see. And then the other thing I was going to ask is, I know many leaders, like especially my experience, anytime I walk into a meeting, we see customers say, hey, I want to connect to every technology that's out there. I looked at your technology architecture. I want to boil the ocean because I'm sure you have tons of data coming from so many different areas. So how do you prioritize what data is critical for the organization? And also, how did you pick those 14 domains in your journey?
Okay. For the 14 domains, we started to get the main disciplines. And actually now I think it's 16. Since maybe 2 weeks, because actually, so first we took the disciplines and asked the ESCOM, okay, please identify someone to be the data domain owner. So it was very formal at the beginning, and then it goes live, and it's living actually, and we have new needs, and so now we are just launching the technology and innovation data domain, and another. We decided to split sales and marketing, but it was like 1 week ago. So it's coming and it's living. That's one thing. And sorry, what was the other part of the question?
Data domains in terms of prioritizing.
Sorry.
How do you know what data is really important?
And actually, what we try to do is, with all what we've done on the data strategy, also identifying use cases, we try to measure, to prioritize the use cases depending on the expected value and the technical feasibility. And then we assess all the data lying behind. And we try to see if there are use cases using the same data. So then we try to prioritize also the ingestion of data sources in the data platform according to the future use case we want to work on. That's one thing. We also did the exact contrary. When launching DataIQ, we spent some time asking the data scientists to look at the existing data in the data platform and try to ideate. And then we've done the same prioritization process. And so we are now having them working on, we know existing data that is available. So we try to do, I would say the two, because sometimes you can get a lot of frustration when they want to work on specific use case, but actually the data is not accessible or very bad quality and so on. So we try to have the two approach, one focused on use case and one focused on the data that we already have on hand.
Yeah, and the other thing I saw on your slide is P0 and P1. You said the ROI was around $21 million. Can you unpack that a little bit? How are you measuring? How are you arriving to that value?
But in the P0, for example, there were already the NFE and the cost freight optimization and the cost benchmarking use cases. There were the P0. And then after that, we had P1, especially on engineering, where the effort to access the data actually was a bit harder, but which will bring a lot of value.
I see. And then the other thing I like in that same slide is sometimes, there are a lot of companies out there, they have tons of employees, and many times companies have to play with the cards that they're dealt with, because they have sometimes people who have been in the roles for many years. Now, biggest struggle is how do I enable my workforce? So I think at Technip, you all invested a lot in the people aspect. So what other ideas that you could share with the team? Because the data upskill program that you have, are you defining career paths for people? Are you giving them a specific course? Who is designing that? What are you putting in there? Can you unpack that?
Yeah, actually, two things here. For the data scientist program, we have been working with HR to provide a career path actually to data scientists. And we go on, so we have created a community also where they can share best practices and so on, so that they can still learn. And also, for example, we got them certificated for DataIQ, so we're still training them on the long run. That's one thing. And other thing, for example, something very powerful I did a few weeks ago, because as you said, we have sometimes people that have been in the company for between 15 to 37 years, and I'm thinking of a specific workshop when we did a round table. It's like it was between 15 years and 37 years in the company. And those people, they had a way to work that was very efficient, but we need to, and especially with generative AI, for example, some things like I was thinking on tendering, but even on engineering, on text to design and things like that. They have new ways that we should explore, and you need to onboard those people. And what I did is a specific workshop actually with Microsoft, who's our partner, in Roma. So I went there, asked Microsoft to come here, and we spent a whole day having presentation, and one also for a potential competitor who said that they were exploring generative AI for tendering. So the people there who were telling me that it's not possible, they just had a really shock showing that this is happening. And so having them being more comfortable and more actors also of this change. And we're an engineering company. They are almost all engineers. And once they are convinced and they are curious, that's great. They become so enthusiastic, and really they take the train. So that's a great thing also. A great way to have people onboarded, but really having dedicated session to some business people.
Wow, that's great. I have more questions, but I want to see in the audience if people have any questions. Go ahead, Dan.
So first, there's a number of things that you've done that I think are really impressive. So one was not just talking to the executives, but talking to the feet on the street, because when things get rolled up, they go missing. I was wondering a couple things. One, are you doing any model governance? And then I'll wait.
Yeah, actually, we are working now. I have one person I identified, the really, I think the most knowledgeable person in the company to work on a company data model that will be the same for everyone. And this person is really highly respected. He spent, I think, his whole career at Technip Energies, and he's working little by little also with the data governance team. And we are trying then to work with IT on architecture to have all this together. Also working on norms and standards on the markets. The already known one used by our customers, but there are also new ones that can be really changing also and trying to have sort of market watch on the standards.
Okay, and I didn't express that. Thank you for that. That was really good. But what I was really getting at, what I really meant to say was ML model governance.
Oh, sorry. And that's another thing we are working on. So we do it through DataIQ mainly because it's a place where the models are here actually, so data scientists can work together. Also, we try to have them work on a peer development so that it's not, so that they can transfer knowledge. That's one thing. And then we are working now on sort of responsible AI framework for the company. We are now just trying to get an agreement on the agenda, on the summary of it. So it's coming little by little, but yeah, it's something we want to work on. Having a framework for the data scientists and ensure that they put in place the right guidelines along the way.
And then do the models that you're doing in DataIQ show up in the catalog of DataGalaxy, so people have one place to go to see both the data and the models? And what is there anything that says this is the data set that these models were trained on, and those sorts of things, so people know how to use them appropriately?
Yeah, exactly. It's what we're trying to define little by little. It's not automatic yet, so it's a lot now of handwritten in the data catalog, but it's what we want to do, and also having a sort of score for data quality, for example, in the data catalog, so that data scientists will know if they can trust this data or not, what's the overall level. It's really something we want to have it work. And I hope at some point we will be able to have sort of hackathon or datathon, or I don't know, based on the data that will be defined in the data catalog. I think it's something that will also bring new ideas and innovation around data and AI within the company.
Yep.
First, also thanks so much for the insights. I suppose you have some kind of strategy to set up the responsibility roles, like people responsible for data asset. So how did you approach this? Do you have a strategy in selecting and assigning people?
Yeah, I think the main the main choice was on motivation, actually, because we tried first, even with the data domain owners, they've been first nominated, and they're the ones that find it really great, and they spend time and really invest their time in being data domain owner, for example, and start also identifying data stewards in their data domain so that we can really work on. And some that just didn't know what they were doing here. And so little by little, it has to change. And it's usually coming from the use cases or the needs or the pain points that they identified. But really motivation is key. And I think that's also when I said that it has to be funny, it's really important, because you need to have those people coming again to your meetings and so on. So we have clear role responsibilities, but then it's very flexible and it depends a lot on people motivation.
right, thank you. So in the company that I work for, we have poured all kinds of data into our data lake. And our scenario is, we have a lot of folks in business and IT figuring out what to do with the data, right? Pretty informal. But I like the approach that you took where you've nominated your pillars. And then I just wanted some clarification. When you went out and sought volunteers, did you nominate volunteers for each pillar? And then can you explain how you went about training with a data scientist lens to these folks who were volunteers? Did you contract that training, or how did you go about that?
Actually, yeah, it was very surprising because when we asked for volunteers for the training, there were different conditions. One is that the training was very intense, so people need to be motivated enough to spend like 10 hours a week working on data science. Then we needed to have their manager on board, meaning that they should sponsor it. And we asked them also to come with use cases in their own disciplines. Like they should come with an issue, a problem they wanted to solve thanks to data science. That were the conditions. And actually, we had more than 270 applicants for the first year. So we had to choose 20, to select 20 of them and explain to the others why they have not been selected. Sometimes it was because you had to be a bit comfortable with Python already. It's like, because it's very intense, so people need to have first technical skills. We discovered we had to tell them that you are not going to do the program because you're already a data scientist. Actually, people who have trained themselves on their free time to become data scientists, so we asked them to mentor the new one. And some people, actually, they applied for data scientists, but actually, they were more expecting for data analysts training or data engineers. So we worked with HR on identifying learning paths on our currently e-learning modules. That it was possible, but to ask them, but it was promoted in all the company, and we launched. So we are currently selecting the second cohort for this data upskilling program, and we have already more than 240 applicants. Despite the fact that we really try to say that this is very difficult and very long and so on, we try to discourage them. And it shows that there is a real interest. And another thing also I've been communicated to the ExCom. Like when I was talking about generative AI and so on, I told them that there are already 2,000 employees in our company using ChatGPT every day. So showing them also this is happening, and the fact that we have a lot of applicants show that people want to be trained on that, and frankly, it's much more easier to train in-house people on data science than trying to hire data scientists for the company.
How did you come up with the courses, and who trained you?
Okay, sorry. It's a company called Data Scientists. It's a French company, and actually the program that they are attending is recognized. Actually, it's a real diploma in the end that has value on the market. So we found a company dedicated to this sort of training.
I want to double down on this question, and then we'll take a question from Steve as well. Sometimes I think what I've seen, Marie, is people say, hey, I have to go through these programs to upskill myself, but it's a lot of commitment. And they say, hey, I can't spend 10 hours a week or whatever. But what's the right balance here? Because you definitely had to figure out, like, maybe give them enough that they continue to learn.
Yeah.
But how did you figure out that right balance?
Actually, for this issue is that we have created also a data science learning program online in-house that is much lighter than this one. So you don't get a real diploma, but you can be trained on data science at your own pace.
I see. Steve, please.
Test. Okay. Another question on balance. 14 domains with data owners, and then the use case approach with data quality issues underneath those. And so I'm wondering, my question is, you know, at a certain point, like standardization becomes really important. And so, you know, how did you balance the need for, you know, a use case driven approach with the need for creating standards? And what types of conflicts between those data owners arose, if any, as you implemented those?
Okay. Yeah, it's more coming from ideation, because again, I think motivation of the people is really key. So sometimes you need people to come with a use case and have them fight for you to take this use case and so on. That's one thing also for the selection. And for the data domain, I will have a very precise example on data quality. We have an issue with the CSRD again, and we needed to have an owner for sites. But in our industry, there are the offices, and real estate is the owner for the offices. But for example, our construction site in Qatar, it's actually for our customer. So it's dealt in another way in the company, in our processes, and like no one was owning this site information. There has been many battles between the different data domain owners to select who was the, so we asked, maybe we have an ESG now data domain, thinking so maybe it's them because they're the one that need, yeah, but they're not the one producing the data there. So there was no point. And actually, we landed on it's the estimation data domain owner who will own the data sites. And that's an example, but it's been a lot of discussions and debates.
You said you had a couple hundred people using ChatGPT. I assume that's not just like wide open. They can toss any data across the fence they want. It is?
It was.
Okay, then I retract that.
No, it was actually because they were using it anyway. So what we did is that when we see that, yeah, it was a couple hundred at the beginning. Now it's 2,000 a day. But first it was, yeah, several hundreds. What we did is that we prepared in a really quick way a small module of awareness around ChatGPT and AI in general, and what people should be careful about, not upload confidential data in it. So all this explaining all this, so that it's like a 5-minute online module that they had to complete to get to continue being able to access ChatGPT. That was one thing. Otherwise, it was blocked. It is blocked. And now we have it's going to be launched like next week. ChatGPT instance on our private platform. So something that we have bought to Microsoft, so that and then we will block the public ChatGPT. So it will only what the documents uploaded and so on will stay in our in our environment.
Still in the cloud though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I know there's a lot of, like, the major banks have kind of outright banned. So there's like a very much in between of some CDOs are like, nope, we're not doing anything at all. And some are like, go figure it out. We'll trip, fall, figure it out there. So we're just kind of curious where you were in between. And
at first they wanted to block, and I told them, like, it's like blocking Google now. It's like, and now we have 2,000 people every day. We are a 15,000 company. We have 2,000 people every day using ChatGPT, and most of the time, frankly, it's just to answer an email or phrase it in the right way in English, something like that. So it's no harm. And I prefer people to get used to it and train to it and see the interest and the potential for their own activity. So we had to find the right balance. Also, we are now going to deploy Copilot from Microsoft. So it's the generative AI in Microsoft 365. Translating in my head. And also, I think this is very powerful. And we're gonna have like 300 licenses and have a mix a different mix between top managers, because I want them to adopt the thing and see, so I need them to be sponsored, around digital experts, and then it will be volunteers. So I want people to fight getting their license, and I think this is also a very powerful change management action to onboard in a very democratizing way. For having, because they see it's been very powerful to they try it, they see it, and this is highly powerful. So I didn't want to block it. I fought against it.
I get it. The value add is too massive to
exactly.
I can't believe you had people familiar with Python at all 14 of your pillars. Like that blows my mind.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, it's impossible to block it. It's in the public domain. So you can block it inside the firewall, but your people who want to use it are going to use it on their private devices, right? So I think you're taking the right approach to provide guidelines and education so that people understand acceptable use and the risk associated with it, and also the knowledge of protecting your internal corporate data and not voluntarily using private access or individual access with corporate data assets. That's really the best policy, I think. We work with a lot of clients that are struggling with it, but it's not a big struggle because you can't stop it, right? Anyway, I just want to make that comment.
Yeah, right. And I think sometimes it's just awareness. It's people who are not thinking that the data they will upload could be reused in another way, and it's a sort of data leakage. And now they're aware, they're careful, and providing them the tool to use it in a safe way is very important too.
I have one question, and for the ChatGPT service, how do you consider the security, data security?
Actually, it's the cybersecurity that did the job, but the fact that our platform is based on Azure Cloud, and Microsoft invested massively in OpenAI and ChatGPT. Actually, the ChatGPT based on Azure Cloud, I know that because cybersecurity is very strong on our side, they checked everything showing that the data will stay in our environment. This is all around I would say the Azure Cloud platform, mainly. So the thing is that if you want to upload data in ChatGPT, you have to first upload the data at some point in our data platform, or using, I was talking about Sinequa on document search. So that's safe environment when you can upload data, then this data could be uploaded in ChatGPT without, and it will stay in our environment, our safe environment.
We have about 10 minutes. Any more questions?
Could you just talk a little bit more about the manifesto piece that you did? Because the categories were interesting, and then Kash was talking about how do you drive data literacy and culture, and it seems like that was one of the key things for you.
Actually, yeah, it was very powerful because we decided, like, together there were data people, there were the data domain owners, and so on, and business people also. And something very important was the fact that it also bring awareness around the fact that data is not, as a data owner, I don't own the data. For me, I'm accountable of providing the company and data of good quality and get it accessible, and showing that data is a company asset. I think it's at the core of this manifesto, is showing that data is a company asset that we all need to work on, and it's everyone's problem at some point. And it's very important to be able to share the data. That's how we create value. And we have guiding principle, behaviors, and best practice. That's how it ended up in the end. And now we are going to have this through a serious game for awareness also on this pillar, so that little by little they understand more that we need to work together, and around standardization is also key, meaning that I know that you have your data you're comfortable with in your old IS system, but if you want construction to use data produced by engineering, the lineage is it's a long way. So if we standardize, it will really streamline the use of this data, and they're all conscious that it's what we need to do as a company, and that's the future. So yeah, it was quite powerful to have this collective work to define this manifesto.
I have a question actually in terms of, for a company that has been around for a long time, right? I mean, the challenge often is who's spearheading this? Who was your executive sponsor, and how long have you been on this journey from the start?
Actually, I joined the company 1.5 years ago, and I'm the one who created the data office and so on. Then I've been promoted on digital transformation, so that we ensure that we put data at the core of digital transformation. And I have to say that we have an ExCom that is really, they're really visionary on that. They're convinced on that, and they just want me to lead the way at some point, but they're very supportive on this. And I also spend time regularly present them the progress, or explain, for example, ChatGPT or generative AI, presenting them the use case, ask them to vote for the one that they think that will be the most valuable for the company. All those things, also having a regular dialogue with ExCom is really important. I think because, yeah.
And these are your leaders across the board, not just IT or,
exactly.
Business leaders.
Yeah, no, really business leaders, strategy. I report to the Chief Strategy and Sustainability Officer of the company, who's an ExCom member. And so data, AI, and digital is really at the core of the strategy too.
Excellent. Any more questions? This was a great presentation, Marie. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and taking so many questions from the audience.
Thank you, Chandana.
And thank you, Kash. That was
that's great.
a great dialogue.
Great. Yeah.
Thank you for making it very interactive. That's the way I prefer.